All right, let's dive right into this explainer on dbt, the data build tool. Now, if you've ever worked in data, you already know the absolute pain of keeping your pipelines from totally collapsing as complexity scales up. It is a massive headache. So today, we're going to figure out exactly how dbt brings some much-needed software engineering discipline to the often chaotic world of data analytics, why it's become an absolute industry standard, and how it can transform your data pipelines from fragile little scripts into robust, reliable engineering assets.
To really appreciate what this tool does, we kind of have to look back at the dark ages. Before dbt came along, transforming raw data into clean, trustworthy analytics was, well, it was the Wild West. Think tangled webs of scheduled scripts, completely undocumented SQL files living on random laptops, and that constant lingering 3 a.m. dread that changing just one column is going to quietly break 5 other crucial tables downstream. Total nightmare for data integrity, right? But then dbt stepped in with a pretty radical idea. What if data transformation got the exact same rigorous discipline as software engineering?
To understand where dbt actually fits in, we need to talk about the shift from ETL to ELT. Back in the day, tools extracted data, transformed it in transit, and then loaded it. That's ETL. But modern cloud data warehouses like Snowflake or BigQuery, they are incredibly powerful now. They can handle the heavy compute lifting themselves. So the ELT pattern dominates today. You load your raw data first, using something like Fivetran or Airbyte, and then you transform it directly inside the warehouse. dbt is deliberately built for that T, and literally only the T. It doesn't move your data around. It simply generates and runs SQL directly against the compute and storage you already have set up.
So, the most crucial thing to grasp here is dbt's fundamental building block, the model. And a model is brilliantly simple. It's literally just a select statement saved as a .SQL file that describes one specific transformation. Instead of writing one enormous, sprawling, unreadable SQL query that drags data all the way from raw sources to a final report, dbt lets you break that logic down into smaller, focused, testable functions. It's exactly like turning a giant tangled ball of yarn into neat, stackable Lego blocks, just like a software engineer breaks down a large program into manageable pieces.
And when you start stacking these Lego blocks together, you build what the dbt community affectionately calls a layer cake. At the base, you've got staging models. These sit right next to your raw data to do some light cleanup, renaming cryptic columns or standardizing formats. Moving up, you hit intermediate models, which is where the genuine business logic happens, like joining tables and calculating derived values. And at the very top, your MART models. These are your polished, business-facing tables, explicitly organized for specific domains like finance or marketing, and totally ready for executive dashboards. It elegantly mirrors that classic bronze, silver, and gold architecture we see in modern warehouses.
Now, to make this whole layered approach actually work, dbt introduces something incredibly special. Instead of hard-coding a database table name, like typing out from analytics.staging_orders, dbt uses a simple syntactic shift called the ref function. You literally just write from ref and then plug in the model name. Honestly, it might look like a minor cosmetic tweak when you first see it, but I promise you, it is genuinely transformative for your entire workflow.
Here's why. By using that ref function, every single model explicitly declares its dependencies, and from that, dbt automatically builds a directed acyclic graph or DAG. It's basically a visual, logical map of your entire project. Because dbt knows exactly how everything connects together, it automatically figures out the correct execution order. Staging models will always run before the intermediate models that rely on them. And the best part? You never have to manually schedule or configure that order yourself.
But beyond just fixing the execution order, why does this actually matter for your day-to-day work? Well, the ref function gives you true environment parity. That means your code behaves the exact same way on your laptop as it does in the live system. Because dbt resolves those references dynamically, the exact same model code runs flawlessly whether you're in your local development environment, staging, or production. It dynamically points to the right schemas, giving you that safe, reliable testing discipline software engineers rely on, basically right out of the box.
Speaking of safe testing discipline, we gotta talk about data quality. Historically, data testing was this awkward, bolted-on afterthought, right? But with dbt, it is remarkably simple. With just a few lines of configuration, you can guarantee columns are never suddenly blank, primary keys are actually unique, and customer IDs genuinely exist. You can even force status columns to only contain expected words like pending or shipped. If the data is wrong, these tests flag it immediately during your daily workflow, long before finance calls you up to say the dashboard numbers look distinctly wrong.
And look, just as crucial as testing is actually knowing what your data means.
We have all stared at a randomly named database table with zero context, wondering who on earth made it or what it even represents. Well, by pulling descriptions directly from your code configuration files and combining them with that beautiful DAG we talked about earlier, dbt automatically generates a fully navigable, searchable website. Anyone in your org can just log in, click around, and finally understand exactly where the underlying data comes from and how it connects to everything else.
Okay, scaling up a bit, let's look at some advanced features, like macros. dbt uses a templating language called Jinja, which layers directly on top of standard SQL. This lets you write reusable snippets of logic, which are essentially functions for SQL. Say you have a highly specific, complex way your company calculates a fiscal quarter. Instead of risking dangerous copy and paste errors by dumping that formula into 20 different files, you write it exactly once as a macro and just reuse it everywhere. It's like creating a custom shortcut for your absolute most annoying SQL formulas.
But what about data that doesn't fit the usual flow? That is where seeds and sources come into play, and they are fantastic for keeping your warehouse organized. Seeds let you take small, static CSV files, think country code mappings that rarely change, and load them directly into your warehouse as actual tables. Sources, on the flip side, let you explicitly declare where your raw incoming data originates. This allows dbt to test the actual freshness of that raw data before you even attempt to run any transformation logic on it.
Now, what happens when you're dealing with massive scale? If you've got a billion-row table, rebuilding its entire history from scratch on every single run is going to cause massive performance bottlenecks. Incremental models solve this by only processing new or genuinely changed data since the last run, and then seamlessly merging those fresh records into the existing table. It is a total game changer for keeping your pipelines blazing fast as your company's data inevitably grows.
And because absolutely everything in your dbt project, the models, macros, tests, is fundamentally just text files, it seamlessly adopts standard CI/CD workflows. Your code lives in Get. When an analyst proposes a change via a pull request, continuous integration automatically spins up a fresh, isolated, temporary environment to run all your tests. If everything passes cleanly, those changes are automatically and safely promoted to production. And this right here, this is the core premise. Standard software engineering discipline is finally coming to data.
All right, let's ground all this theory with a concrete, real-world example that executives care deeply about: calculating accurate monthly recurring revenue, or MRR. Imagine a subscription software company. They've got raw billing data pouring in from Stripe and raw user activity data sitting over in their internal application databases. Combining those to get a truly reliable MRR number is notoriously tricky. If you've ever tried it, you know exactly how painful it can be.
So, watch how the dbt building blocks flawlessly assemble to solve this. First, a staging model cleans and standardizes that raw Stripe data, renaming columns without changing the meaning. A separate staging model does the exact same thing for the internal app data. Then the intermediate model takes over. It joins these two clean sources together and applies the complex business logic to correctly handle subscription upgrades, downgrades, and cancellations. Finally, the MART model aggregates this all into a clean MRR table segmented by customer type. And boom, it feeds directly into the executive dashboard. Completely tested, documented, and reliably fresh.
So, here is your golden tip to take away from this explainer. Resist the temptation to build one enormous, sprawling SQL model. I know. It initially feels faster to write a giant query that goes from raw data to final report in one fell swoop. But seriously, don't do it. Break your logic down into structured, layered models. The real value of this layering compounds massively as your project grows, making your code dramatically easier to debug, extend, and reuse across the entire organization.
And that structured reliability brings us to a really fascinating, absolutely crucial concept in data engineering: idempotency. Ask yourself, why should the exact same pipeline, when run twice, never produce different results? How do you guarantee your carefully engineered pipelines always produce trustworthy data, literally no matter what goes wrong upstream? Well, we're going to tackle exactly that in our next explainer. Until then, keep those models layered and keep your data clean.